This is the DS9 and it's a little bit like, oh, it's responding to me. Anyway, it's a little bit like the Louvre in Paris because it's very French and packed with artistic flair. I'm going to tell you why in this video because I'm going to talk you around the exterior, the interior, and see how practical it is. I'm going to take it for a drive and of course I'm going to launch it from 0 to 60 miles an hour because I'm Matt Watson and you're watching CarWow.
Buying a new car? Then head to CarWow and my team will help you find your next car at a fair price. CarWow, your one-stop car buying comparison site.
Let's start this video by talking about the design of the DS9. So from the rear, it's got a bit of a Mercedes vibe going on, but with even more chromage, shiny bits in the big tail lights as well. And wait, what have we here? Huge exhaust pipes, which look like a bit of a lie. Got the CarWow stick of truth here, and yes, they're not completely fake though, because within there, a lot smaller, to be fair, are real pipes, so that's okay. Moving down the side, wheel sizes start at 19 inches, rising to 20s, and look at this. When I unlock the car, see a little light comes on in here, just like you used to have a light, the high-up indicators on the back of the original Citroen DS. There's a strong crease running down the side of the car. Once again, that's quite Mercedes-like, isn't it? Reminds me of the C-Class and the E-Class a bit. Then you've got the DS badge in there. This is DS Performance Line. Hell yeah. Got a black roof, black contrasty door mirrors. Moving to the front, look at the design of the wheels with this extra element in. They're quite cool, aren't they? Though if you curb them, they're going to be a nightmare to repair. Okay, here at the front, big grille, reminiscent sort of an Audi's grille, really. Just not quite so large, yet more shiny bits and pieces. And this strip on the bonnet, which sort of reminds me of a strip on the bonnet that you normally get on like a luxury car. Though I have noticed this doesn't quite fit quite right. Look, it doesn't line up. Still my OCD in. Though before you start complaining going, well, you wouldn't have that on a Mercedes. Well, actually, do you know what? When I filmed a Mercedes Maybach, it had a strip on its bonnet, which was also a bit wonky or coming loose. So yeah, and that car was a lot more expensive than this. Here on the inside, the DS9 has quite a unique design. So you have this big dash, which has a flat front to it. This is the entry-level model. You've got Alcantara here on the doors, you've got it here on the seats, and the seats are pretty nice. You've even got it here on the center console. Then there's these cool design elements, these switches here. Then when you look at what the switches actually are, you see that they're the controls for the windows. Big individual switches. It's almost unnecessary. It's like design for design's sake. A bit like the stop-start button there, which isn't the best place for it. You having to reach up there to start the car. But the screen is quite big, though I don't think it's the easiest to use or to navigate, but then again, you're just going to use Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, aren't you? Yes, you are, unless you're crazy. Then you've got a big digital driver's display, got lots of different views, and you can just cycle through different menus quite easily. It's not the slickest system and the graphics aren't the highest resolution, but it works fairly well, so I can't complain about it too much. Then you've got this sporty steering wheel, flat bottom, you've got some nice stitching on it as well, some shortcut buttons which feel quite tactile. In fact, overall, the quality in here is pretty good. Even when you reach down here on the door bins, the materials aren't scratchy or cheap, and the door bins themselves are lined with a carpet. Ooh, how luxurious. Under here you have some storage. Under here you have your cup holders. If you like this size cup of tea or coffee, it doesn't fit particularly well. You'll end up like picking up your coffee by the lid and then it might come off, spill all over your Alcantara. No one wants tea on their Alcantara now, do they? There's a little place there for your mobile phone, look, so I wondered what that noise was. I accidentally hit the stereo. It was like the kind of sound which has a very strong sense of foreboding. It was like I was in a horror movie and something bad was about to happen to me. Anyway, yeah, you can put your phone there like that. What's not great though is the glove box. It looks big, but because the fuse box is there, the actual storage space is just this little area there. The sun visors are really nice and big, and you've got a large vanity mirror as well, which is pretty handy because if you're buying this kind of car, you're probably pretty vain. Speaking of which, the starting price of the DS9 is £40,000. You can save an average of just over £2,000 on one through CarWow. Now, if you're thinking about buying a new car or selling your current car, you need to go to CarWow. To do that, you can click on the pop-out banner up there for the link in the description to go straight there now. However, if you want to do that at a later date, just simply Google "Wow Me CarWow" and we will wow you. Here in the back of the DS9, there is plenty of room, look. This seat's in my usual driving position. Knee room is generous, headroom's all right. There's plenty of foot space as well, and yeah, there is a bit of a hump in the floor, but it's not too big. So actually, the middle seat doesn't feel too bad at all. The only problem is that the roofline does slope in somewhat. So if you do carry 3 adults in the back, those 2 adults on the outer seats will end up like having their head like that against that roofline. which isn't ideal, but hey, there you go. Now, if there isn't someone in the middle, you can just fold down this big comfy armrest. I like the way that the cup holders come out here, so you don't end up putting your arm in them. That's good. And underneath here is some extra storage, should you require it. Now, there is some through loading there, so you can probably fit some skis or long objects through there if you really need to carry them. But other than that, it's all pretty fine. Oh, storage, yeah, you've got some little pockets there, and door bins are decent size, and once again, they're lined with carpet back here. Comfy. Now let's check out the DS9's boot. So, as you can see, it's a saloon boot rather than a hatchback tailgate, so it's not quite as practical. However, you know, many of this car's key competitors are also saloon cars. So the boot capacity on this is 510 litres. Pretty good. However, a Mercedes E-Class's boot capacity is 540 litres. Now, if you'd like to see my full in-depth video review of that car, click on the pop-up banner up there, follow the link in the description below. However, with this DS9, regardless of whether you have the normal version or a plug-in hybrid, the boot capacity remains the same. With the Mercedes, the hybrid boot is a lot smaller. If you want to find out how much smaller, check out my review, right? So, this boot, it has quite a few nice features. So underneath here, you've got some storage, you've got some nettage, you've got some tie-down pointage, you've got some shopping bag hangage. It's pretty practical. However, it's not quite so practical if you upgrade the sound system to the focal stereo, because then you have a subwoofer in the boot which reduces the capacity by over 30 litres. And that brings on to 5 annoying things about the DS9. There's no guide for the rear seat belt, so when you fold the back seats down like that, sometimes, I'm having to make it happen, but it will do. Yeah, you see, sometimes that happens. And then that happens, and then, that happens. I don't understand this, right? Okay, so there is no lock on the port for the electric charging system for the hybrid. Obviously it locks when you lock the doors. However, the fuel filler cap is locked when the doors are unlocked. So you have to go in there and press a button like this there. Come on. Open! What the frickin' are you doing? I can hear a click. Hear that? Looks like I'm driving home on electric power alone because there's no way to put fuel in this thing. Oh, there we go, finally. That's not very good, is it? Anyhow, there's another problem as well. You see, the PHEV version, the plug-in hybrid, because of its batteries, it has a smaller fuel tank by 18 litres over the comparable petrol-only model. And that means if you haven't got any electricity in your batteries and you just want to run it on petrol power alone, you can do 120 miles fewer than you would in the petrol powered version if you just want to run on the motorway. You'd think that this DS9 would be très moderne, no? Right? But why has it got old-fashioned USBs there? Look, old-fashioned, yes, there's a wireless charging pad, but still, and in the back, look, old-fashioned USBs. Now the kids will be in the back, they're gonna have the latest mobile phones, aren't they? Which will definitely have USB-C. This car's surround view camera is a bit of a fudge. You see, what it actually uses is the feed from the front and rear camera, and it just remembers what it saw and paints it in over this blank bit down the sides as you move along, which might seem like a good idea, but it's not, because if you start from a standstill such as now, you've no idea what is at the side of your car until you've driven past it, and at that point, ow, it could be rather too late. You see, as you're reversing back, you could quite easily, run over someone's feet. Oi, blooming heck, what do you think's going on? You've basically broken my toes. I'm going to sue you, sue. The single motor plug-in hybrid version of this car is 300 kilos heavier than just the normal petrol version. And then if you have the dual motor plug-in hybrid version, it's a further 69 kilos heavier still. And normally I'd like an extra 69, but in this case, not so much. Thankfully, this car has plenty of cool features to help make up for all this. Here's 5. The headlights do this amazing little dance when you unlock the car when it's dark. For instance, look at this. And check out this. They rotate round. Yeah, it's way better than you get on any blooming Audi. How cool is that? Look, it's like disco, baby. Yeah, look. Tiny things, please, tiny minds. In addition to ISOFIX the rear seats, you also get it here on the front passenger seat, which is really handy, A, if you've got triplets, or B, if you've got a grizzly baby that doesn't like going in the car seat much, because then you can put it next to you and it'll allow you to soothe it easier. Just like shh, shh. I'm not speaking from experience in any way, just shh, baby, just shush. I love the poppy outy door handles. They're really quite neat and they're quite easy to use as well. So if you just want to open them manually, you can do it like that. Really, really, really simple. Some poppy outed door handles, it's just a bit of a faff. I also like this. Oh God, look at this. Check this out, right? You have double glazing here on the side windows, but not only in the front, you also have it here in the back. That's the kind of thing you don't even get on many luxury cars. Do you want to see an erect clock? Look at this. When you start the car, the clock erects out of the dash. What do you think I meant? DSs are supposed to be all about providing you with a very comfy ride. And that's why the DS9 comes with a special suspension system which uses the camera that reads the road ahead. When it spots a bump, it slackens off the adaptive dampers, so you just glide over it. It's lovely. Before I drive this thing, I'm going to talk you through the engines. So the entry-level DS9 has a 1.6 litre turbocharged petrol engine driving the front wheels, and it puts out 225 horsepower. Now you can get the same engine again, but mated to an electric motor for added efficiency, that still puts out a combined 225 horsepower. That's what this car is. There's also another version, same setup, but with 250 horsepower. But if you want more power, you can actually get a dual motor version. So that has an extra electric motor on the rear axle, so it's 4-wheel drive. And then you have 360 horsepower. All the hybrid models have a 9.6 kilowatt hour battery pack, which will take you about an hour and 45 minutes to charge on a 7 kilowatt wall charger. Anyway, let's drive this thing. Okay, let's see what this DS9 is like to drive, starting off with low speeds and, you know, around residential roads and in town and stuff. So what I'm actually going to do is put it into electric mode. It says quiet. So it'll actually go like 80 miles an hour electric only mode, but you won't go very far on it. You see, even if you're driving carefully, you can do about 33 miles maximum on battery power alone, and that'll be if you're just mooching around like this. But it sort of suits this car. Not annoying the neighbours with any loud engines blaring away. Look, I'm just coasting about on electric power, and you can really coast in this car. The suspension feels really soft. Look, here's a rubbish road. Let's find out all the potholes. So this car's the system that's reading all the bumps, and it's slackening off the adaptive suspension as I go over the bumps, and yeah, it does feel quite comfy. At lower speed, that definitely works, as does the steering. I mean, the steering's so light, good for just, you know, just easy driving like that. No one drives like that, do they? But you get the idea. I'm just trying to illustrate it. In fact, it's almost as though the steering wheel isn't connected to anything, to be fair. Round town, that doesn't really matter. As long as the car goes where you point it, you don't really need to feel anything to the steering wheel, do you? Visibility? Well, the dash is quite high, and you've got massive blind spots here from these big pillars. Yeah, the back's actually all right, though. The door mirrors, they're large enough, but they're not huge. Oh, wait a minute, what's happened there? I've got plenty of battery. Electric mode is currently not available due to ambient conditions. Brilliant. But overall, in town, this is quite an easy car to drive. Relaxing, soft, works on the electric power, well, for as long as the car lets you use it on electric power. Just want to make sure that your ambient conditions are correct. Last thing for me to do, really, is to check out the turning circle. So it's apparently 11 metres, which is better than a BMW 5 Series or an Audi A6. Can I do this in one go? It is tight. That's a good turning circle for a big car. I am impressed by that. It's good in town, but what about elsewhere? Okay, let's see what the DS9 is like on a twisty road. So I'm going to go into sports mode. Come on. It's annoying pressing this button all the way down there. You're like that. Okay, we're on. First things first, I can feel that the suspension has got firmer. The steering has got heavier. It doesn't feel that connected to the front wheels still, just heavier. It turns the car and everything like you'd expect it to, but it doesn't involve you in the experience particularly. This thing goes around corners all right. It holds on as well as you need a car like this too, but it doesn't have a sporty edge to it. It just doesn't feel like the kind of car that makes you want to go quickly. It feels a little bit soggy, let's say, compared to the German competition. Something like a BMW 5 Series just has more poise. It feels more expensive actually, and you notice that difference when you're going quicker. This just starts to get into a little bit of a flap with things. Like the suspension isn't quite as good at smoothing out the bumps when you go quicker. It's like it doesn't want to be hurried. It's like, oh, monsieur, where you wanting to go so quickly and designed to go slow. Yeah, it's all right. It's just not set my world alight, and neither is oh god, did you hear that? The engine and gearbox combination, because this thing just like complains at you if you put your foot down. I mean, you're supposed to get torque fill from that electric motor to give you a bit of a boost before the turbo that little petrol engine picks up, but you know, you don't really notice it. For instance, pulling away from a junction here. Oh, come on. Oh no. Oh, that beeping sound was because I was accelerating to the back of that car. Thought I was going to have an accident. Gear changes are pretty brutal actually in sports mode when it changes up. It's just that sometimes when it's changing down, it can like be a bit hesitant and clunk a bit. But it's not really a car that you really want to go quickly in. It's more about just chilling and wafting along. Actually, once you're up to speed and you're just wafting along the motorway, then put it back into comfort mode and you can enjoy all that relaxation. And it's actually quite a quiet car until, once again, you come to overtake and then you get that noise, and then that noise if you get too close to the car in front. Finally then, let's see how quickly this DS9 225 can do 0 to 60 miles an hour. DS says it'll do it in 8.3 seconds, but we'll see what my specialist timing gear says. I'm going to launch it now. Come on. Pickup's a bit lethargic and noisy, but not noisy in a good way. Come on, what are you going to do? No. 8.6 seconds. Not far off, 0.3 of a second, but doesn't feel particularly quick. So then, what's my final verdict on the DS9? Should you avoid it? Should you consider it? Should you shortlist it? Or should you just go right ahead and buy it? Well, I reckon the weather's awful and you should consider the DS9. You know, it's an interesting alternative to the Germans and it's nice to drive. It's just a little bit expensive. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a like. Let me know what you think of the DS9. Do you agree with my verdict? Let me know in the comments below. Click on those windows there for some more videos and click on that box there to go to CarWow to see how much you can save on your next car.